Hello, welcome back to the LSS Holdings COVID-19 support series. And today we're going to talk about guidance in maintaining the fire protection systems in 2020 and talk about some of the unique challenges that you all have been facing dealing with restructuring your organization and your facility management practices in the pandemic. But we are going to get back to the core of what our company began with, which is NFPA, fire codes, passive life safety, and inspections and maintenance as it relates to your fire rated barrier. And I can't think of a more important topic at a more important time than now, as we have residents sheltering in place in long-term care and in other facilities. And as we bring people back into our offices and our buildings, we really need to understand the frequencies, the reason behind these devices, and what makes them so important so that we keep our facilities safe. So LSS Holdings is comprised of our three companies. As we have grown, we have developed and we have created different divisions. Hughes Environmental, we are facility cleaning, duct cleaning, ceiling and rafter cleaning, combustible dust remediation. LSS Life Safety Services, our fire and smoke damper inspection repair, fire door inspection and repair, fire stopping, and now UVC lighting solutions. And launched this year, SafeNetics, our safety e-learning and certification platform for inspection technology application. So the services that we're going to talk about today are fire and smoke damper inspections, fire door inspections, fire stop survey and installation, photoluminescent egress path markers, and exit signage. These services are part of total fire protection. We are classified as the passive fire and life safety devices. When you think of fire alarms and sprinklers, those are your active systems. So today we're going to talk about passive life safety systems as they relate to total fire protection and NFPA fire codes. So let's first talk about fire and smoke damper inspections. First of all, NFPA requires fire smoke and combination dampers, those are both fire and smoke, must be inspected for all facilities that first year after installation. This tends to be overlooked. There tends to be some confusion about the contractors that install these devices and their responsibility for inspection. But this is, make no mistake, this is the building owner's responsibility, and it must be completed 1 year after installation for all facilities. After that, the frequency of testing is every 4 years for non-healthcare facilities, and then an extended every 6 years for hospitals or acute healthcare. So what is a fire damper? So here's two examples. Dynamic fire dampers are installed in vertical barriers where the HVAC system fan will continue to blow in the event of a fire. The static fire dampers are installed in barriers where the HVAC system fan will shut off in the event of a fire. Smoke dampers, which have an actuator motor and require either pneumatic or plant air to function properly, or they're electrical and they need power to function properly. All too often, even in facilities that have been established for some time, we see and find that pneumatic air and electrical power has been disconnected or maybe sometimes never installed. Therefore, these dampers are out of compliance. The other thing to note is that the actuator motor is electrified 24 hours a day, 365 days out of the year, and so they do fail. So these smoke dampers are critical to be inspected, to be verified that they are hooked up and hooked up properly and that they're actually working. So let's talk about some settings, some case studies, and let's see if these relate to you and maybe where you are, the facility that you're managing. We definitely see a need for more education as it relates to hospitality. And we know that hospitality has been faced with so many important changes in these last few months. But this is a case where we were called in at a luxury resort in Nassau, Bahamas. So a very high humidity beachfront property that had over 500 fire and smoke dampers that were needing inspection. The facility had never been inspected or performed in the past. And we do see this. We see either no life safety drawings and people not aware that they have these devices, or that they can't locate the reports to provide documentation that they have been inspected. But we see this quite often, and dampers are so critical wherever there's someone who is sleeping, where they're highly compartmentalized buildings. And most of what we're going to talk about today are those types of settings. But in this case, the saltwater air had been drawn into the hotel's HVAC system, put a lot of moisture into that ductwork, and in turn had completely rusted over 25% of the hotel dampers. So this was a turnkey project where we were inspecting, photographing, documenting, and also repairing. So in this case, LSS replaced all the rusted dampers with new dampers, and we repaired the balanced or failed dampers, and we brought the hotel into 100% compliance on their fire and smoke damper system. We worked hand in hand with the facility engineer and partnered to come up with strategies to limit that high failure in the future. And that education process was really key here, explaining why these dampers were important, explaining what his team could do in the interim when we were not on site, and putting a program together where we would come back every 4 years. We did this following all the NFPA 80 and 105 recommended inspection maintenance schedule, and we're allowing the dampers to be actuated and lubricated and lessening the chance of rusting in place. The code is very specific. It says that you must activate or open and close these devices as part of the inspection procedure, and you must document that. We worked with the hotel's heating and air contractor to discuss additional methods to remove moisture from the HVAC system. In this case, we verified airspeed over the cooling coils and the air handler units, allowing more moisture to be removed prior to going downstream, which typically rusted the damper and required a very extensive repair. Another service that is also related to your fire-rated barrier and is a passive life safety inspection are your fire doors. The NFPA requires that fire-rated doors be tested for functionality no less than annually, and that a written record of the inspection be kept on file for the authority having jurisdiction. It's every year. It's a lot of documentation and a lot of points under the code that require to be recorded and maintained. So here's just some pointers in a 5-step fire door check. 1, check for that certification. That's the label on the door and the frame. It must be visible. It must be in good shape. It must be on the door and on the frame. Checking for gaps. Very important here. Hard to maintain in doors that receive a lot of abuse or wear. Check the gasket and edge seals. Check the hinges. Not only must they be operational, they must be the right hinges. And then check if the door closes properly. Standard openings, in electronic openings. If this is a fire-rated door, then it must be able to close properly and as per code. So in metropolitan Detroit, we were called in on an assisted living facility. This was a 40,000 square foot assisted facility that had never had a complete fire door inspection. May have completed visual inspections, but really had not had a full life safety code inspection. And they needed a complete inventory to be in compliance with NFPA 80, 105, and 101. As well as the CMS compliance. Given that the fire doors had never been inspected, the facility really anticipated a significant number of repairs, and they really needed that done very quickly. They needed to fully understand their inventory. They needed to fully understand where they were, and they needed to be able to get that report and then be able to turn around quickly to have the repair team remediate those doors and keep their facility in compliance. I'm not quite sure if they had a violation, but we see this very often where there has been a notice. I believe this facility, they might have been proactive in doing this, but regardless, they knew that they needed to get this into compliance and they needed to do it quickly. So LSS Life Safety performed the inspection repairs and put the facility doors in compliance with NFPA 80, 105, and 101, and CMS for the first time, therefore creating a baseline for this customer. LSS had our inspectors and repair technicians that were available, that were trained, and that were certified. We also had the ANSI ISO certified labeling company provided. And we were able to provide a one-source solution for all the fire doors. This saved the client time, money, and continuity of service and compliance. We left this project with the client with functioning fire doors and made for an overall safer facility, giving the peace of mind to not only the staff and the leadership, but also the residents. And in the event of a fire or an emergency, these doors will be able to be functioning and give the residents and the employees critical means of egress. Additionally, on your fire-rated barrier, fire stop surveys and proper installation of the right systems must be in compliance at all times as per NFPA fire code. So let's talk about fire stopping. So both the IBC and IFC require the routine maintenance of fire barrier walls. These walls should be properly repaired when damaged, altered, breached, or penetrated. Any penetrations found should be repaired with approved methods or systems capable of resisting the passage of smoke and fire. There are thousands of these systems. It takes a considerable amount of training and understanding and knowledge of these systems and the applications to be sure that you are in compliance at all times. So some of the common fire stopping materials are sealants, silicone, latex, intumescent, putties, pillows, bricks, plugs, and spray products. And understanding this and understanding your building and where your barriers are and where these penetrations are at all times is an enormous task for most facilities, especially where various trades are in your building making changes and alterations at any given time, and understanding where those penetrations need to be sealed and how they need to be sealed is critical. So another case study or success story was a not-for-profit acute care hospital in Wichita, Kansas. This was a 1 million square foot acute care hospital. It's part of a large national healthcare system that we have a relationship with. And we are their national provider for passive fire protection services, as I explained, dampers, doors, and fire stopping. And at this facility, LSS Life Safety was contracted to perform a fire stop and above ceiling survey to assist the facility in preparing for their upcoming CMS and Joint Commission survey. They brought us in and we helped establish the program for compliance with the Joint Commission CMS and as it relates to NFPA 101, 99, 70, and other codes. When we were performing this above ceiling survey, we removed cables attached to the sprinkler pipes and holders using zip ties to connect to the other above ceiling supports. And we replaced missing 4x4 junction boxes or J boxes with new J box covers. And we worked with the facility engineer to schedule repairs for the barriers to lessen the likelihood of any of these further Joint Commission and CMS violations. It was a very big program, and the entire facility was surveyed and managed, and a maintenance program was put into place. We provided the facility with a statement of conditions for the above ceiling, including a listed approved UL fire stop systems to be installed in the open and unsealed penetrations. So a primer, if you will, a guidepost to make sure that it was easy to communicate the systems that were approved and required when making any type of sealing up any type of penetration. We provided a cost estimate for the turnkey fire stop installation that LSS performed, and we installed and maintained the proper UL approved systems so the facility could judge cost of insourcing versus outsourcing. So we gave the cost comparison so that they could make the best decision for their facility. Another part of our services at LSS Life Safety, and very important, and especially in major urban areas and in new construction greater than 5 stories, photoluminescence, egress path markers, and exit signage. So photoluminescence is recognized by both IBC and IFC, which require luminous egress path markings that outline the exit path and should be provided in buildings having floors that are located more than 75 feet above the lowest level of a fire department vehicle. These life safety markings have become critical to these types of buildings that are greater than 75 feet above the lowest level of a fire department vehicle. So the benefits of photoluminescence is that exit signs can contribute to LEED credits, whether you're applying for LEED credits on a new construction, or maybe you are LEED existing building operation and maintenance, known as EBOM. They require no electrical power or maintenance, and they glow up to 48 hours in blackout or smoky conditions, and they're non-toxic and radioactive. So a success story for LSS was a luxury hotel in Sarasota, Florida, and they contracted with LSS this was a nationally recognized luxury hotel, and this was install of photoluminescent egress path markings in the stairwells of their new hotel being constructed. Aside from the requirements of NFPA 101 and the 2012 International Building Code, or IBC, the hotel had a green initiative and was seeking LEED points to become LEED certified facility. And the installation of photoluminescence egress path markings provides an energy efficient way to provide a safe means of egress in the event of an emergency while reducing energy costs. So LSS helped a customer achieve those following LEED credits. They were able to receive EA credit number 1, which is energy and atmosphere, optimizing energy performance. MR credit number 4, materials and resources that have recycled content. ID credit 1.1 for innovation and design, exceptional performance. And EA credit number 1, energy and atmosphere, optimizing energy performance. LSS made the facility safer for the hotel occupants and staff in the event of an emergency, and reduce the need for LED-powered electrical exit signs, which will save the facility money over time in energy as well as in inspection and maintenance. So let's discuss a little bit and tie this together with NFPA's general safety guidelines for reopening during this pandemic. Egress management, we change how the occupants typically enter and exit buildings as well as travel within them. And we may need to be modified to avoid two-way flow and encounters. Queuing lines. Designated queuing lines may need to be established to manage the number of occupants who come into the premises at one time. Occupant flow. If one-way aisle pedestrian paths are established, appropriate signage should be in place to establish the desired flow. Partition placement. If partitions are added to provide increased separation between occupants, it needs to be verified that the materials meet flame spread index and smoke developed ratings. Hand sanitizer storage and placement. Hand sanitizing stations will likely be provided in many buildings, and in most cases administered through alcohol-based hand rub dispensers, or ABHR. Automatic power-operated doors. Many facilities might consider the use of automatic hold-open devices on doors to limit the need for occupants to open doors with their hands. Seating arrangements in order to maintain compliance with public health guidelines. Many seating arrangements will need to be modified in order to provide adequate spacing between parties. And then storage management. If changes to your operations require the storage of extra boxes, bags, and other materials, then those products needs to be carefully managed, especially where Joint Commission and other survey agencies are concerned. This can be a point on your survey if things are not properly stored. If you have further questions or would like us to be involved in any of your projects regarding life safety or disinfection or UVC, please reach out to us on our email, info@lifesafetyservices.com. You can also learn more about our services on our website, www.lifesafetyservices.com. And then you can always call us at our 800 number, especially for topics relating to COVID-19. We are staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to answer your COVID-19 questions at 888-675-4519. Thank you for your time today. We know how precious that is. And thank you for your continued questions and the projects that you continue to bring to our company and to our employees. Thank you so much, and be safe out there.